According to the 2020 National Electrical Code, specifically Section 210.70 ANEC and 2, using a single-pole switch to control the ungrounded conductors of a 240-volt circuit is permissible. This means that you can indeed use a single-pole switch, timer, or one pole of a contactor to control 240-volt HID lighting. However, there are important considerations to keep in mind to ensure safety and code compliance. Firstly, the switch must be appropriately rated for the voltage and current of the circuit it is controlling. In this case, the switch must be rated for at least 240 volts and must be capable of handling the amperage drawn by the HID lighting fixture or fixtures. Secondly, the switch needs to be readily accessible to the user. This means it should be located in a place where it can be easily reached and operated without requiring the use of tools or ladders, or having to navigate obstructions. Thirdly, the switch must be clearly marked to indicate its purpose. This is crucial for safety as it allows anyone working on or using the lighting system to quickly identify the function of the switch. A simple label like HID lights or lighting control is sufficient. It is important to note that while a single-pole switch can be used to control the ungrounded conductors, it does not disconnect all conductors of the circuit. This means that the neutral conductor, if present, remains connected. In situations where complete disconnection is required, such as for maintenance or repair, a multi-pole switch or circuit breaker should be used. The NEC provides detailed requirements for wiring methods, overcurrent protection, and grounding. Following these requirements is essential for ensuring a safe and compliant electrical installation. For example, conductors must be sized appropriately for the ampacity of the circuit and must be protected by circuit breakers or fuses of the correct rating. Grounding is also critical for safety, as it provides a path for fault current to return to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and preventing electrical shock. When working with electrical systems, it is always recommended to consult the latest edition of the NEC and to seek the advice of a qualified electrician. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. Remember to always de-energize circuits before working on them, use appropriate personal protective equipment, and follow safe work practices. The specific requirements for lighting control can vary depending on the application and the type of lighting being used. For example, emergency lighting systems have different requirements than general illumination lighting. The NEC addresses these specific requirements in various sections. Therefore, it is important to carefully review the code to ensure compliance with all applicable rules. Additionally, local codes and regulations may impose additional requirements that must be followed. These local codes may be more stringent than the NEC and may address specific issues or concerns in a particular area. It is always a good idea to check with the local building department or electrical inspector to determine if there are any local requirements that apply to your project. Furthermore, advances in lighting technology have led to the development of new control systems that offer increased energy efficiency and flexibility. These systems may incorporate features such as dimming, occupancy sensing, and daylight harvesting. When selecting and installing lighting control systems, it is important to consider the specific needs of the application and to choose systems that are compatible with the lighting fixtures being used. The NEC contains provisions for the installation of these advanced lighting control systems, and it is important to follow these provisions to ensure a safe and reliable installation. In summary, while the NEC allows the use of a single-pole switch for controlling the ungrounded conductors of a 240-volt lighting circuit, it is essential to ensure that the switch is properly rated, accessible, and marked. Additionally, it is important to follow all applicable requirements of the NEC and local codes to ensure a safe and compliant electrical installation. Always prioritize safety when working with electrical systems and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Understanding the specific requirements outlined in the National Electrical Code is crucial for anyone involved in electrical work, from homeowners undertaking small projects to licensed electricians performing complex installations. The NEC is not just a set of rules, but a comprehensive guide designed to protect people and property from electrical hazards. It is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices, so it is important to stay current with the latest edition. One of the key principles of the NEC is to ensure that electrical systems are installed and maintained in a safe and reliable manner. This involves careful consideration of factors such as conductor sizing, overcurrent protection, grounding, and wiring methods. The code provides detailed requirements for each of these areas, and it is essential to follow these requirements to prevent electrical fires, shocks, and other hazards. In addition to the general requirements that apply to all electrical installations, the NEC also contains specific requirements for different types of occupancies, such as residential, commercial, and industrial buildings. These requirements take into account the unique hazards that may be present in each type of occupancy. For example, healthcare facilities have stringent requirements for electrical systems to ensure the safety of patients and medical staff. Industrial facilities may have requirements for explosion-proof equipment in areas where flammable materials are present. The NEC also addresses the installation of specific types of equipment, such as generators, transformers, and motors. These types of equipment can pose unique hazards if not installed and maintained properly. The code provides detailed requirements for the installation, wiring, and protection of this equipment to minimize the risk of accidents. Furthermore, the NEC covers emerging technologies such as solar photovoltaic systems, electric vehicle charging stations, and energy storage systems. These technologies are becoming increasingly common, and the code is evolving to address the unique challenges they present. It is important to stay informed about these new requirements as they are incorporated into the NEC. The NEC is a complex and comprehensive document, and it can be challenging to navigate. However, there are many resources available to help you understand the code and apply it correctly. These resources include training courses, online forums, and publications from organizations such as the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, which publishes the NEC. It is also helpful to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer if you have any questions or need assistance with a specific project. They can provide expert advice and ensure that your electrical installation is safe and compliant. In addition to the NEC, many states and local jurisdictions have their own electrical codes that may be more stringent than the NEC. It is important to check with your local building department to determine which codes apply to your project. They can also provide guidance on permitting requirements and inspections. Compliance with electrical codes is not just a matter of following the rules, it is a matter of safety. By adhering to the NEC and local codes, you can help protect yourself, your family, and your community from electrical hazards. Remember to always prioritize safety when working with electrical systems and to consult with a qualified professional if you have any doubts. When selecting a single-pole switch for a 240-volt lighting circuit, it is crucial to verify that the switch is specifically rated for 240-volt operation. Do not assume that a switch designed for lower voltages, such as 120 volts, can safely handle the higher voltage. Using an improperly rated switch can lead to overheating, arcing, and even electrical fires. The switch's voltage rating should be clearly marked on the device itself, usually on the back or side of the switch. In addition to the voltage rating, it is also important to consider the amperage rating of the switch. The amperage rating indicates the maximum amount of current that the switch can safely handle. To determine the required amperage rating for your switch, you need to calculate the total current draw of the lighting fixture or fixtures that the switch will be controlling. The current draw can be calculated using the following formula: amps equals watts divided by volts. For example, if you are controlling a 1000 watt HID lighting fixture on a 240 volt circuit, the current draw would be 1000 watts divided by 240 volts, which equals approximately 4.17 amps. In this case, you would need a switch with an amperage rating of at least 4.17 amps. However, it is always a good practice to select a switch with a slightly higher amperage rating than the calculated current draw to provide a safety margin. This will help to prevent the switch from overheating and failing under normal operating conditions. The amperage rating of the switch should also be clearly marked on the device. Look for a marking that indicates the maximum amperage that the switch can handle. When installing the single pole switch, it is important to follow all applicable requirements of the NEC and local codes. This includes using the correct wiring methods, making secure connections, and properly grounding the switch. Never attempt to install a switch without first disconnecting the power to the circuit. This will help to prevent electrical shock. If you are not comfortable working with electrical wiring, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to do the work for you. They have the knowledge and experience to ensure that the switch is installed safely and correctly. In addition to the basic safety requirements, there are also some practical considerations to keep in mind when selecting and installing a single pole switch for 240-volt lighting circuit. For example, you may want to consider the style and finish of the switch to match the decor of the room. There are many different styles and finishes available, so you should be able to find one that suits your taste. You may also want to consider the type of switch that you prefer. There are toggle switches, rocker switches, and dimmer switches available. Toggle switches are the most common type of switch and are easy to operate. Rocker switches are similar to toggle switches but have a larger, flatter surface that is easier to press. Dimmer switches allow you to adjust the brightness of the lights, which can be useful for creating different moods or saving energy. No matter what type of switch you choose, it is important to make sure that it is compatible with the lighting fixture that you are controlling. Some lighting fixtures, such as LED lights, may require a special type of dimmer switch. Be sure to check the manufacturer's specifications before purchasing a switch. Finally, remember to always label the switch to indicate its purpose. This will help to prevent confusion and ensure that anyone using the switch knows what it controls. You can use a label maker or a permanent marker to create a label. Simply write the name of the lighting fixture or the area that the switch controls on the label and attach it to the switch. By following these tips, you can select and install a single pole switch for a 240-volt lighting circuit safely and effectively. Always prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns.